Siddha.
Maybe this Veda mantra we have seen earlier also, but it's better we again recapitulate what we discussed about it, because we have been seeing the Yajurveda one after another. So this is one of the mantras in the last chapter of Yajurveda. Tadejati, Tadejati, Tannaijati, Tadejati, Tannaijati, Taddure, Tadvantike. Taddure, Tadvantike. Tadantarasya sarvasya. Tadantarasya sarvasya. Tadu sarvasyasya. Tadu sarvasyasya. Bahyataha. Tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. Yajurveda 40.5. Tadejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. Tadejati, tat yejati. Tadejati. Tannaijati. Tat na yejati. Tat na yejati. Taddure, tat dure. Tadvantike. Tat u antike. Tat u antike. Tadantarasya. Tat antarasya. Sarvasya. Tadu, tat u. Sarvasya bahyataha. Now this mantra in 40.5 and few more mantras in this 48th chapter of Yajurveda, the major subject here is about God. So this mantra also refers to God and it explains the features of God. Tat yejati. Tat means here the tat refers to that God, Satchidananda. Yejati, yejr gatau is the root. Yejr gatau. So, God is a driving force in the whole universe. Tat yejati. It's behind every change and every movement in the world, in the universe. It's a great force. That is, it has created this whole universe and set up the rules and regulations and the systems, and they run. And when it is running, now it is only a witness. God is just a witness when it is running. So the cause of this running of the whole universe, running in terms of movement, running in terms of change, either Satchidananda. Tat yejati. Tat yejati. We know how the whole universe runs with all its changes and movements. And this whole universe, what you see, what you perceive through sense organs, it is all inert, jada. This jada jagat cannot move or cannot change on its own. That's what this law of inertia we know. It says unless acted upon by an external force. So what is that external force here? What is that driving force behind all the movements and changes in the inner world? It is that Satchidananda, that is the God. Tat ejati. But tat na yejati. But the same God never undergoes change or movement. It is static and fresh forever. Tat na yejati. The reason is this. Number one, it is not affected by him. It is beyond time. It gets kala theta. Kala theta. Kala is time. Kala atita means it is beyond time. It is the cause of time also. So it is not affected by time. It is not subject to the vagaries of time. At the same time, because it is omnipresent, it is everywhere, it has no place to move. For movement, we need some space. But there is no space for this Sachanda to move because it is omnipresent. It has occupied the entire universe fully 100%. So it has no its movement. It cannot move. Tat na yejati. Change. Change is because a thing is subject to time. Because it's beyond time, there is no change in it. It is as fresh and green as it was now and future also. No change in it. Tadejati tatana yejati. Then comes the peculiar piece of the mantra, next one. Taddure, it's far off. Tattu, the very same thing, is Antike, is close by. Now this appears as ridiculous and paradoxical because one thing can be far off or it could be close. How can a thing be both? Far off as well as close by. So we need a little analysis of this. Now how do we speak about this far or closer? How do you understand it? One thing is with reference to place or position. Place or position. It is placed at a distance, we say it is far off. It is placed closer to us, we say it is close by. I think cannot be both in this sense. A thing which is far off cannot be close. A thing which is close cannot be far off. This depends upon where it is placed and its position. Now, as far as God is concerned, with regards to this meaning of or this dimension of space, it is everywhere. It's always closer to us. We are in it. It is in us. There's no question of that being far off. Antike is okay in this sense. And not Dura. God is never far off from us. Because it's everywhere, omnipresent. In the same distance, it has got another dimension, that is with reference to time. Time. A person before 500 years and a person before 200 years, we consider. So the person who was existing before 500 years is far off. And a person who existed before 200 years, they are closer to us. This is with reference to time, not distance, not place, not position. It is with reference to time we speak of. Now this also is not possible for anything. If it is far off, it is far off. It is closer, it is closer. What is far off cannot be closer to us. What is closer cannot be far off to us with reference to time. This also doesn't apply to God. Because God is present always. So we are closer to God always with reference to time. Now, anywhere, God is closer to us. He cannot be far off with reference to time. That means God existed and now it is not existing. It's not like that. It is there then, it's there now. It is a continuous phenomena. So it is always with us. With reference to time, there is no gap or distance between we and God. So here also, Tadure will not apply, Tattu Antike will apply. And how to understand it? It's far off and as closer to us. Now we go to the third way of looking at this distance. That is our awareness. Our awareness. If I'm aware of God, if I know God is with me, yes, I'm closer to it. If I think about so many things other than God and not God, then He is far off from us. With reference to our awareness, God at the same time be closer or far off. So it is similar to what you are doing now. You are somewhere, I'm here. But I'm looking at you and talking to you, and you are looking at me and talking to me. So we are closer. We are closer. But even when I'm looking at you and you are looking at me, you think if you think someone else and not connected to me and me not connected to you, then we are far off. That connection here in my awareness makes us closer or makes us far off. Not exactly through this hangout also. Okay, this is closed. Then let's start thinking about you. Oh, we had class, so and so attended, so they asked this question, we discussed these things. So I'll be thinking about you, and you'll be thinking about me. Then we are close. If we think about one another, then we are close. And if we think about someone else, then this person is far off. With reference to our mind and consciousness. So here, God can be closer to us. We concentrate on God. Or we can be far off from God if we are thinking something else other than God. So God can be closer to us and far off from us at the same time, depending upon how our disposition is. Tadure, Tatantike. It is far off. We think about that God, it's very closer to us the very next second. So Dura, the distance we calculate in terms of position and physical distance. Number 2 with reference to time. Number 3 with reference to our concentration and awareness. Thinking about it. Now, first one is not applicable, second one is not applicable, third one is exactly applicable for that. God could be closer, could be far off. Depending upon whether we are thinking about it, whether having our focus on that or not. Focus is there, closer. Focus is not there, far off. Tadure, Tattu Antike. Now the other part says, Tadantarasya Sarvasya. That's within everything. Tadu Sarvasya Bahyataha. It's outside of everything. It is in everything and everything is in it. It is so huge and abundant that it occupies the entire universe, omnipresent. That's the concept we have been discussing. And because it is omnipresent, everything is in it. It is so huge and abundant, infinite. At the same time, it is so subtle also, subtlest. Because it's subtlest, it is capable of entering to anything. So it is in everything. Everything is in it and it is in everything. Being abundant and infinite and being the subtlest is a special feature of Satchidananda God, which you don't find in any other thing. We are in the house, fine, but the house is not in us. The book is in the bag, but the bag is not in the book. Teeth is in our mouth, but mouth is not in our teeth. You see, it won't fit in anywhere but God, but God. At That's a special feature of it. It is in everything and everything is in it. So when we are trying to understand Satchidananda, God, this feature is very, very important for us to understand. Now keeping this in mind, say if I speak of an idol, which I say as God, which I understand as God, it is proved wrong because that idol is in the temple, but the temple is not in the idol. So this very proof that it is in everything and everything is in it tells us that except God, which is formless, all other gods with form, they don't fit into it. Anything. An idol or an image of God, what you consider as God, will stand out of this condition. An idol or a form is in a building, but that building is not in that. But it clearly says in this Veda mantra that God is everywhere, God is in everything, and everything is in God. This is a special feature and unique to God. You don't hold good anywhere else. Jivatma is in this Sharira, fine. But this Sharira is not in Jivatma. You don't fit in. The earth is in the solar system. But the solar system is not in earth. You take any example in the world. The one and the only unique thing which satisfies this condition of tadantarasya sarvasya, tadusarvasya bahyata is God and God alone. And it has to be formless. It cannot be with form. God is one, formless, abundant, huge, infinite, at the same time the subtlest, capable of being in anything, because everything else is grosser than this Satchidananda. A grosser thing can be in something which is more grosser. A grosser thing cannot be in a subtler thing. The subtlest thing can be in everything. Sukshmati sukshma. Sukshma is subtle, being subtle. Sukshmati sukshma, one which is the subtlest, can be in everything. And so abundant and huge. So everything is in it. Tat yejati, tatana yejati. Tadure, tatantike. Tad antarasya sarvasya. Tadu sarvasyasya bhakyatara. Yajurveda 40.5. So if we are able to understand the meaning of this Veda mantra, there will be no confusion about our understanding of God. If you are not aware of this mantra, every piece of stone, every piece of wood, every idol, every photo, we mistake it for God. Whatever we are able to perceive through our senses cannot be the subtlest, because sense organs are gross. These gross sense organs can perceive grosser things, not the subtle things. If I were to say an idol, that idol is grosser and it is perceived by my gross eyes. This concept of gross and subtle is very, very important to understand this Veda mantra. Hushar. So, the sense organs, whatever they perceive, are grosser and never the subtlest. So, if you are able to see God, if you are able to hear God, if you are able to touch God, taste God, smell God, thinking that it is God, then it is all misleading because it cannot be subtlest. Because I perceived it. I perceived it. So they are grosser than our sense organs. But that which cannot be perceived or sense organs, subtler than that, yes, that could be God. That could be God. So it's very clear indication that God is never with form, not perceivable by our sense organs. And then how do we know that God is there? Because we are not able to perceive it through our sense organs. Sense organs are only tools. The real perceiver through the sense organs is the soul. Now that soul can perceive God straight without the intervention of the Sharira Indriya Manas. Can perceive it. But there are some terms and conditions. That is, the soul should be sensitive enough to experience it. Experience, not perceive. Perceiving through sense organs and experiencing straight. How does soul experience God? The experience of God by the soul will be in the form of bliss and peace. The soul is able to experience peace. The soul is able to experience bliss, particularly Shanti, peace, bliss, Ananda. The soul is able to experience peace and Ananda. Yes, that is the realization of God. But if you reduce it to the level of grosser things which are perceivable by your sense organs, then you are misled. There is no God there. It's all inert things which are gross and grosser. Still, God can be experienced through the soul directly without any intervention, and no sense organs are required to experience God. So, to understand God in this way, then fighting over ideals, fighting over gods will come to a grinding halt, which we are seeing around us in the whole world. And we're also considering God as many. Polytheism. Polytheism is we speak of many gods. I have got one God for myself, you have got your God for yourself. So when you speak of several gods, then you're into a problem. My God is different, your God is different. I say my God is superior, you say your God is superior, and you start fighting upon it. There's no such thing. God is one and only one. This we have to study with other complementary mantras. Sa esha eka, eka vrit, eka eva. This is a piece from the Veda, Atharva Veda mantra. It says very clearly, God is one and only one and one. It emphasizes, it stresses again and again. God is one. God is the subtlest and the one which is abundant and huge, and God is formless. Here we are going to see. Now we are seeing this 40th chapter, 5th mantra. When you come to the 8th mantra, there we say very clearly, Akaya. It speaks about that. Akaya. Akaya is it has no form. If it has got form, it results in so many limitations. It cannot cross over those limitations because of that form. Form is with limitation only. If there are no limitations, you cannot think of a form at all. Form and limitation go together. Formless and infinite go together. There can't be a thing which is with form and being infinite. No. It is contradictory, paradoxical. It won't happen. So the existence of God is to be experienced by the soul in the form of peace and bliss, and sense organs fail to understand it. Because sense organs are not the one who experience, but they are only tools to perceive grosser things than them. not subtle to them. The eyes have got their own limitations. Eyes cannot say everything. We know clearly, eyes of ours has got a visible region. The frequencies what are there in the visible region, we can understand, we can see. But beyond that, we cannot. If it's of a lesser frequency, it goes the infrared region and the eyes cannot see it. We need several other instruments to perceive it. If the frequency is more, it goes to the ultraviolet region. There also the eyes cannot see it. We need several other instruments to perceive it. Regarding our hearing, it is calculated in terms of decibels. Certain decibels you are able to listen. If the sound is less than that, I cannot listen. On the upper side also, up to a certain level I can hear. If the decibels go beyond it, I cannot. So the sense organs, what they have got their own limitations. So with the limited capacity of the instrument, the perceiver, there's a soul behind it, cannot perceive it. Whereas it is capable of experiencing that unique, formless God, not through the sense organs, but straight. As I said, it has to be sensitive enough to experience it. It has to be honed. It has to increase its strength of experiencing. And another very important thing, it should become pure to experience it. Without the purity of the soul, without the strength of the soul, it cannot experience. It fails to experience. Though it is there, though it is in it, the soul is in it. God is in the soul is in the God, but still the soul fails to experience it. It becomes a non-conductor because of its weakness and because of its impurity. So if it also we want to experience God in the form of peace and bliss, the only way for us is not to depend on the sense organs, but see that the soul becomes stronger and purer. There we have the answer. The answer of experiencing God, the answer for our question, whether God is there or not, is at that level and not at the level of our sense organs. Because they are all grosser tools and they fail. They have got their own limitations. They cannot take us even closer to it. The very light and sound we are not able to perceive. Forget about God. So when you look at things in this angle, you will be sure that God exists and you can experience God in the form of peace and bliss. That experience of peace and that experience of bliss itself is God. God is all peace, God is all bliss. And whatever we perceive through our sense organs, it is not peace or bliss, but indulgence. Sukha. Sukha is different, Ananda is different. Shanti and Ananda are one and the same. One face of the coin is Shanti, the other face of the coin is Ananda. If Ananda is there, Shanti is there. If Shanti is there, Ananda is there. But Sukha is totally dependent on the tools and the sense organs. Our great mistake always is misunderstanding Sukha for Ananda and Ananda for Sukha. We indulge ourselves in the activities of sense organs and finally say, yes, I am enjoying. I am very happy. But this enjoyment through sense organs has got so many limitations, restrictions, and dependencies. But if it's the experience of Ananda or bliss, such things are not there. The only requirement is soul gearing up itself to experience Ananda and bliss. Soul becoming purer and stronger to experience it. Tadejati Tatanaye jati. All this inner world is driven by that force. But that is not driven and that doesn't move at all. Tadure tadvantike. It is far off and it's close by. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya vaskhyata. It is in everything and everything is in it. If you understand these things very clearly, the understanding of God, we can comprehend God in the right way. God is there. God is not an idol. God is not a photo. God is not something inert. It's a super consciousness without form, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. And it is superior to Sat and Satchit because it was a third dimension called Satchit Ananda. And these are the only three entities that exist in the universe without a beginning, without an end. Now, this is the basic science in the Vedas about the whole universe. We try to understand the whole universe in these terms. Infallible. And if you understand universe, ourselves and God in this sense, yes, almost all of our questions and doubts will be cleared. No confusion. But a mistake at these three levels of understanding the universe around ourselves and God, a lot of questions and confusions remain and remain and remain unanswered. This is Yajurveda 40.5. Next one. Idam bhasmantam shariram. Idam bhasmantam shariram. 40.15. 40.15. Idam bhasmantam shariram. The end of this physical body is ashes. The end of this physical body is ashes. Now, what are we? What are we? Basically, we are the soul. When I say I, you, me, everything, it refers to the soul and soul alone, which is Satchit, which exists and is aware of its existence. But to express itself, to be active, it has to depend on its tool, and that is Sharira. This Sharira Indriya Manas is not me. Sharira Indriya Manas is not me, but Sharira Indriya Manas is mine. You see, there's a lot of difference. Me being that and it is being mine. Of course, the Sharira Manas is mine. But who is that me? That me is the soul. Now, every soul, according to its karma, gets its tool. The Sharira Manas is a tool, it's mine. I get my own tool. So this is technically called as Abhimani Sharira. Abhimani Sharira is that body what I get, I is the soul, I get, and it is mine and mine only. Your Sharira Indriya Manas is yours and yours only. It cannot be mine, mine cannot be yours. We have a tool assigned to us exclusively for our use. So who is the user? That's the soul. That is me. That is I. I have got a tool in the form of the Sharira Indriya Manas. And this tool is exclusively, 100% exclusively for my and my own use. I cannot share it with anyone. At the same time, I cannot share the tool of anyone else for my use. This is Abhimani Sharira. How do you understand? Very simple. I cannot see through your eyes. I cannot think with your brain. I can imagine how you see. That's right. I can imagine how you think, but I cannot really think using your brain. You cannot use my brain for your purpose. If that were to be possible, there would not have been a state called coma at all. Coma is incapacity to use our own tools. But if it were possible for us to use other tools, okay, my eyes are not functioning, fine, I'll look through your eyes. My brain is not functioning, I'm brain dead, doesn't matter, I'll use somebody's brain and think. No, it's not possible. My brain is functioning, fine. If my brain is dead, I'm dead. I cannot use anybody's brain for that sake. So on these terms, understanding these things, we define birth and death. Birth is I, that is the soul, getting my own apparatus, my own tool. This we call it as birth. So my Sharirindra Manas is given to me, that's the soul, in a seed form. What is that seed? That is a zygote, the fertilized egg of the sperm and ovum of my father and mother. That's from where I start. And gradually, that zygote grows, cell division takes place, and a structure is formed with eyes, nose, and other things, and that grows up to a level, maybe up to the level of youth, and then it stops. That's the end of the growth of my tool. Then I use it for many, many years, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, whatever it is. But this tool is formed out of the inert material, that is the Sat. For the sake of the Satchit, which is with consciousness, with awareness. So that is a user, there is a tool. Now this tool, because it's made out of this inert thing, Sat, over a period, over use, it becomes overrun and to run. Because that's the nature of Sat. Sat undergoes change. Sat undergoes wear and tear because of use. So it happens. Maybe for 60 years or 80 years or 100 years I use, by which time this whole tool, the Sharirindra Manas, cannot be used further. It becomes worn and torn. What happens at that point? Then the soul just gets of this instrument and says, I cannot use this instrument, and this instrument has become obsolete, and it throws it off and gets out. And this we call as death. Death is soul stopping to use this tool because it is not usable. Then what? Then what? Now then it is under the administration of Satchidananda. The soul without tool, the soul without Sharirindra Manas is under the mercy of Satchidananda. Now that Satchidananda analyzes, visualizes, evaluates how this soul has used the apparatus that was given to it earlier. Okay, it has used it well. So, for example, I'm a human being, and human beings, I got a human tool, and I use this human tool well. Then there is all the probability I get this tool again in a different form. That's a human tool. And I'm born again as a human being, but in a different environment with different relationships. According to how I fared well in using the instrument earlier. If I had misused this human tool, I have not used this well, then what's the result? Okay, you're unfit to use this tool, you'll be given a lesser tool which you can handle, which you can manage. That is a human form which is not human, non-human forms. So it depends upon how we use the tool. If I'm able to use a tool better, I'll be given an improvised, more sophisticated tool. If I'm not able to handle it, I'll be given a lesser tool. That's what we do in our mundane life also. Say in an office, an assistant, he'll be given some job. Now, if that person is capable of handling that job well, okay, we promote him and give him still serious jobs, responsible jobs. Say the person is not able to handle it, we don't promote, we demote them and say it is enough, you do just this job. You are not intelligent enough to handle such things. Same way. From one level, it is possible for us to get promoted to a higher level or get demoted to a lower level, depending upon how well we discharge our duties in the given assignment. Here, instead of assignment, I call it as a tool. How we use the tool. If I use the tool well, I will be given a better, improvised, sophisticated tool. Otherwise, I'll be given a lower version of the tool. Now, this is the analysis and result evaluation by Satchidananda. Once we leave this body out, the Sharira Indriya Manas out. That is called death. Now here, Bhasmantam Shariram, it says, Sharira is a tool, okay, it is left. The soul has left this, it has gone out. Now, both came together, that was birth. Now, both which are together, now because of its wear and tear, I'm not able to continue with the tool, so the tool is discarded and I move out. I means the soul, I move out. Now, at this point of separation, we have got two things. One, the soul on the other side, and the dead tool, the unusable tool, the lifeless tool, the dead body on the other side. Two things we have got. Now, what are our responsibility and duties towards the two? The soul on one side now is under the supervision of, under the control of Satchidananda. It's not under our control. So that whole area is not mine. The soul getting into another tool, getting its own tool again, yes, it's all the discretion of, it's all under the supervision of that Satchidananda, where I have no role to play at all. I'm totally under its mercy and its judgment. Now, the only thing which is available to me to handle is this dead, decaying material. That's a dead body, within which there is no soul at all. It's just a combination of the Panchabhutas, the inert things, and it's only Sat. Now, because it is decaying, it shall be my responsibility to discard it in the right way, so that this decaying matter shall not spread diseases, shall not cause diseases. A decaying material is always filth. The decaying matter is always dirt. We have to clear it off as early as possible and continue our journey with our tool. This tool, which was with the soul, whom we call as father, mother, brother, sister, or anything, my pet or anything, now that's gone. That soul has gone, has left this abode. Now it is a decaying matter. So to discard it, in the present day, we have got several alternatives. One alternative is throw it into a water body and be done with that. The life in the water body, they'll gradually eat away this discarded dead body and clear it. But a great problem is it pollutes water. So polluting water or water body is not prudent, is not intelligent, is not right. Because water is a natural resource which I am supposed to conserve and use, not spoil and pollute. So, though this method is there of putting the dead body into water and washing our hands is not recommended because it is a cause for water pollution. Okay, shall I put it on the Tower of Peace? You know that Tower of Peace? That's in Parsis. In Parsis, they build a big structure. Upon it, they place the dead body and be done with that. So vultures and other animals, they come and eat them up. And that's how they discard the decaying dead body. The Tower of Peace, they call it in Parsis. Parsis is one of the types of lifestyles. That's the culture in their society, Parsis. The dead body is placed on the Tower of Peace, the vultures eat it away. Now, this is also not recommended because vultures, while eating it, they also spread the parts or pieces of the dead body, the decaying body, and it is a cause of so many ill health and air pollution. Not recommended. And most of the people, they bury the dead. Maybe with a coffin or without a coffin. Now, this is also not recommended because this which is buried takes a lot of time to decay and finally become mud or the 5 elements. They don't easily decompose. They take a lot of time to decompose. Number one. Number two, because it is buried in the earth, I cannot bury another person in the same place. I have to bury adjacent to it. So the burial ground expands and expands. And maybe at one point of time may cause the shortage of land to bury people. It's happening now. It's happening now. In many countries, they don't have sufficient land to bury their people. Now they have shifted to what is known as tier system. Tier system. So one person is buried at 20 feet, another person at 15, another person at 10, and say, tier system they are following it. Because there is shortage of land. It consumes land. In addition to it, whatever is there in the earth, it also gradually, while it is decomposing, will spoil or will pollute the undercurrent of water. We have got water flowing within the earth. So it spoils that. It pollutes that undercurrent of water because whatever has decomposed will gradually percolate into the undercurrent of water. And it is more so when it is raining. The rainwater gradually gets into the earth, the layers of earth. While it is getting into the layers of earth and finally reaching the undercurrent of water, it comes in contact with the decomposing body and it pollutes the whole thing. So, not recommended. Here, this Veda Mantra clearly says the scientific and unpolluting method of getting discarded, getting the dead body discarded is burn it, cremation they call it, and that's the end of the physical body. That is when I burn it, it gets into ashes, and that is the end of the physical body. Bhasmantam shariram, idam shariram bhasmantam. The end of the physical body is in ashes. One question comes, okay, you burn it, fine. But when you burn it, will it not pollute the air? Speaking of pollution, the air gets polluted when it's the Tower of Peace, the water gets polluted when you throw it, when you bury it, the undercurrent of water gets polluted. You're speaking so many things. And now you say you burn. So when I burn a decomposing and dead body, will it not pollute the air? Yes, a valid question. Now, the Vedas prescribe how this decomposing dead body should be burnt without causing pollution. That's the beauty of it. It's not there in this mantra, it is elsewhere. Now, how? That is, we have to compensate while burning this dead body, this decomposing dead body. We have to compensate with sufficient air purifiers. We do have certain things. When burnt, they purify the air. So to compensate it with such volume of air purifiers, which will also get burnt along with this decomposing body. And the main thing there is ghee or clarified butter, as you use it. A clarified butter or ghee is one which purifies air while getting burnt. And there are many herbs and herbal powders which also we use along with it, so that it will compensate the pollution that the dead body or the decomposing body may cause. With the help of those, properly administered along with burning of the dead body, will not pollute the air, or will compensate whatever pollution the dead body is causing due to burning, by the burning of the herbs and the clarified butter. This is a thing to be experimented, not to be believed. To state my experience, to share my experience with you, I have been participating in many such cremations, where the dead body is cremated with the help of clarified butter and herbal powder. Now, it's my very clear experience that even when you are just at a distance of 6 to 10 feet from this burning of the decaying body, you'll be able to experience the fragrance of ghee and herbal powder rather than the smell of the burning of a dead body. You will not experience it. It is compensated by the burning of ghee, by the burning of clarified butter and herbal powder, and even when it is getting burnt, just at a distance of 6 or 8 feet from it, yes, you can experience the fragrance of herbs and the ghee. Not the smell or odor of the dead body getting burnt. So this is one way of getting rid of it. We have to get rid of it somehow. Of course, it pollutes air, agreed, but we have to compensate it with sufficient quantity of burning, the thing which purifies the air, like clarified butter or herbal powder. And the whole thing is settled. But some people ask one more question. Okay, you want to compensate with so much of clarified butter and herbal powder, which is in the present day very costly. How can a poor person arrange all those things and see that it is done well? A rich person or an affluent person, okay, it doesn't matter at all. They get it and do it. But what if a poor person? We do have poverty. And even poor families, people die. And how do you manage? Of course, this may not be a question in some places where the whole people are affluent. But we do have so many places where people are poor. They cannot afford one meal. They cannot afford one house. What's their problem? How should they manage? Now for that, it says that burning of this decomposing body is not the responsibility of one person or one family, but it is a social responsibility. Because if it is not burnt properly, the decomposing body, which spreads the microorganisms that are in the decaying body, will spread over, and it will become a problem for an epidemic, and it is a problem with the society, not the problem of that very family. It's very much possible that it could become an epidemic. So it's a responsibility of the society to take care of it, not that particular family. So the society comes into the picture, there is no problem of affluence or poverty. Everyone has to join hands and see that the job is done well. Because it's a social responsibility. So this cremation has become a social responsibility, and everyone has to contribute and join hands, and the whole thing is done in such a way that it doesn't result in any epidemic or result in any disease, airborne disease or disease due to pollution. So all questions are answered. Bhasmantam Shariram. That's the first question. So burn, cremate, and get it clear. Because it's a decaying body. You cannot keep it as it is. Don't put it on your tower of peace. Don't put it in a water body. Don't bury it also. Because they have got their own negative impacts. The best way is to cremate, and that's what is said in this mantra. Idam bhasmantam shariram. The body finally finds its end in ashes. Now what to do with ashes? Ashes is a good manure, throw it to any land, that's enough. It's disposed. And in the same place, we can burn any number of bodies, and the burial ground also doesn't expand. We don't have that problem also. Of burying it here and there, entire system and other things, we not worry at all. Same place, clean it, put another dead body, burn, clean it, another dead body, clean it. So one single place is sufficient, or maybe 2 or 3, that's enough. The burial ground doesn't get expanded. So when you consider all these things, yes, what is said as Bhasmantam Shariram looks very wise. That's the guidance what is given by the Vedas. Cremate and be done with that. It's over. It's a closed chapter. It becomes ashes, throw it onto the land, it becomes fertile, and be done with it and get out. Bhasmantam Shariram. Okay, we'll stop it today here. And I was telling that 48, which speaks about God. I didn't take it now because it needed a little more time. So in the next class, that is day after tomorrow, we will again sit down and discuss about the nature of God and how we have to comprehend God. And we have got that mantra 40.8. Try to understand God better. But one thing is certain, however much we know about God, still we will not be able to understand God wholly. Some part is still left. Remains, which we cannot comprehend, because we are trying to understand God through our tool. And this tool has got a limitation. So because this tool has got a limitation to understand, then subject to the limitation only we can understand God. But God is beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding. That let us see in that 40.8 after tomorrow. Thank you very much. Yesterday I didn't get a call. What is the problem? Shwaha.
Hyaha.
Yes.
Which Sunday was this?
This is the fourth Sunday.
I think we mistook it for the wrong Sunday, Sharmaji. Sorry.
Right. No problem. Just inquiry. Just a simple inquiry.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, tomorrow is not there. Day after tomorrow. That's Wednesday for me and Tuesday night for you.
Yes.
And we will look forward that Yajurveda 40.8.
For sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dhanyawada, Sharmaji.
Dhanyawada.